Welcome everybody to the Toehold MMA podcast. We're here to break down week 3 of Dana White's Contender series, but let's first look back at last week. Last week we went 4-1 on our picks, with our only loss being Vanessa Depilopoulos. I butchered that one again. Um, she lost and, just was too busy fighting off of her back instead of trying to get up and actually strike or take her down herself. But let's go to week 3 right here and break down the fights. First fight of the night, we got Kenny Cross, who's 10-3. He's 25 years old, 6 feet tall, fights out of Michigan top team, versus Kevin Seiler, who's 27 years old, 5'9", 71.5-inch reach, fights out of American top team. Currently, Seiler right now is a minus 150 favorite, and Kenny Cross comes as the underdog at plus 130. Kenny Cross is a very athletic fighter. He comes out fast. He throws some hard left hands. His big issue is he's got some questionable cardio, and he also had a cut weight twice during this because he was supposed to be on week 1 against Syler, but Syler got COVID. So cutting weight twice in 2 weeks could be a lot on a fighter. Then you got Kevin Syler on the other hand, who's previously fought on Dana White's Contender Series. He missed weight during that. He fought Justin Lawrence, who he beat. He's fought some good competition. He's got some good wrestling and top control. He's got some good submissions. In this fight, I prefer, Kevin Syler to win this. I just think he's going to be able to control Cross on the ground. If this fight does stay standing, it's going to be Kenny Cross for the most part. He's got better striking. He hits harder, but I still like Kevin Syler in this fight. Next fight, we got heavyweights. We got Josh Parisian, who's 12-3. He's 31 years old. He's 6'1" or 6'4" with an 80-inch reach. He fights out of Scorpion Fighting System, taking on Chad Johnson, who's 6'1", 34 years old, 6 feet tall, 2 inches, and he fights out of Rufus Sports. Parisian has previously fought in the Dana White Contender Series. He got a just big knockout win in a last minute fight. And then he didn't get a contract, but they gave him a contract to fight on Tough, in which he ended up losing. And then since that, I think he's gone on a 5-fight win streak. He's taken on a smaller or Parisian fights at like the heavyweight limit. He weighed in at 265, where his opponent Chad Johnson is very small. He weighed in at 215 for this heavyweight fight, which is just barely. Why doesn't he lose 10 more pounds and go down to light heavyweight? He's physically strong. He's got heavy hands. He's got some good ground and pound. But the big thing for me in this fight is he's his chin suspect. He's faced some terrible guys on the regional scene. He doesn't fought anybody good. And I also let me think Parisian is gonna get a knockout in this fight. I like him. He's a little priced a little too high right now. I was able to bet him earlier at minus 170. And if the prop comes out for Parisian by KO, TKO, I would hit that. But yeah, I like Parisian in this fight. Next fight of the night, we got um, Oren Cosce versus Matt Dixon. Matt Dixon is probably the best fighter on this card. Matt Dixon is 9-0. He's 24 years old. He's 5'10", and he fights at a WCF Tulsa, where Oren is 26 years old. He's 6-0. He's 5'11", and he fights out of Lost Boys BJJ, and he also cross trains with Uriah Faber over at Team Alpha Male. There wasn't a whole lot of footage on Oren. The ones that I could find were either from his amateur fights or from his first or second, pro fight. Um, from what I could see, he's a very good wrestler. He, comes out strong. He's got some good ground and pound, and he's got a dangerous counter right hand. But most of his fights have ended in the first round, so it's hard to know how his cardio would hold up. But Matt Dixon, on the other hand, is just so well rounded. He's got good boxing, he's got good wrestling, good leg kicks, solid jab. And I just think wherever this fight takes place, he's going to have it covered and be the better fighter. I have Matt Dixon all day in this. Minus 290 is probably a little too high to bet personally for myself. But I still think, if you can parlay him with someone else or, another bet, that would be the way to go for this fight. Next fight up, we got Cheyenne Buys versus Hilary Rose. Cheyenne Buys is 4-1. She's a strawweight. She's 25 years old, 5'4", 63.5-inch reach. She fights out of Fortis MMA, where you got Hilarie Rose, who's 4-1, 27 years old, and she fights out of US MMA. Rose is fights at the CES promotion up here in the Northeast. I'm basically out of Rhode Island. Um, Rose is mainly a wrestler and BJJ girl. Besides that, on the feet, she's not very good, and that's where I think Buys is going to have the big advantages on the feet. She's got very good striking. She can mix in wrestling. When she is on top, she's got very good ground and pound and good top control. And I ultimately think Buys is going to be able to keep the fight standing and pick her apart on the feet. Buys is currently a minus 225 favorite, where Rose is the plus 185 underdog. I honestly like taking, with Dixon and then parlaying it with the over 2.5 in this fight. Or you can even probably parlay it with buys straight up. But I think over 2.5 is a little bit safer because, if Rose is able to take this fight to the ground, she could put buys in some trouble and possibly get a submission. But I still think it's going to go all 3 rounds, and buys is going to be piecing her up on the feet. Final fight of the night, we got Victor Reyna versus Luis Cosce. This is a welterweight matchup. Victor Reyna is 11-4. He's 34 years old. He's 5'11", 70-inch reach, and he fights out of Genesis BJJ. You got Luis Cosce, who's 6-0, 5'9", fights out of Lost Boys MMA, and he also cross trains with Uriah Faber over at Alpha Male. Again, not a lot of footage on Cosce. From what I could see, he's very aggressive. He throws some good high kicks. He was able, he has good ground and pound, and he's very, very aggressive. Let's call him, he's never gone out of the first round, so we don't know how his cardio is going to hold up if it goes to 2 rounds. Where you got Victor Reyna, who's previously fought on the Contender Series against Miguel Baez. He also has fought in some good competition in Daniel Rodriguez and Kevin Holland. He's a southpaw. He's very composed out there. He's got some good wrestling. When he can clinch you, against the cage, hold you there, and mix in some Muay Thai clinches. And when he does hit you, he does hit hard. And I ultimately think Reyna's experience is just going to be too much in this fight. And I ultimately think he's gonna, I think Kosi probably gonna gas after round one, maybe a round and a half, and I think Reyna's gonna be able to pour it on in this fight and get the win. Again, we'll recap my picks. We got first fight of the night, I picked Syler. Second fight of the night, I had Parisian. Third fight, got Dixon. Fourth fight, I like Buys. And the last fight of the night, I like Reyna. Make sure if you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and see you guys next week for week 4 of the Dana White Contender Series.